Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Abby,
And I'm Cadence.
and we're co-hosts of Mindful Athlete. So this is the first of our video podcast series where we'll be talking about various sports-related topics with a particular interest on the psychological or mental health impact of athletes. So today's episode is going to be on life after sports. And we're going to be talking about the experience of athletes who retire, call it quits, hang up the boots, however you want to describe it. So Cadence, you by definition are a high performance athlete. You played basketball at the highest youth level. You repped Team Ontario. You represented Canada in international tournaments. You played in the BioSteel basketball game, which is held for the best basketball players in the country. And you even got a D1 scholarship. For me, obviously, I'm a little bit older than you, so I don't have any photos to put up, but I played at the time what was the highest level of competitive youth soccer in the province. And I actually also got scouted by a school in the US as well. But ultimately, we both decided to quit playing by age 18. So I think this will be a really interesting topic to get into. So let's just get started. Cadence, for you, this is still kind of fresh. It's been less than a year since you decided to quit playing basketball. And so I wanted to know, what have you missed most about no longer playing?
I think there's a certain type of like feeling that you get when you're in the game. It's like something within, something innate that's just there while you're playing. I wouldn't necessarily call it like adrenaline. It's just something else. Like you're just like in the zone, basically. I think that's what it is. Like being in the zone. There's that sort of like feeling that you get when you're playing that it's just like you can't replicate it anywhere else. And that's something that I definitely miss the most, I think, because with that, it's just like you're in the zone, you're totally focused. You're trying to do whatever you can to propel your team to win the game, and that's just something that, yeah, honestly, you can't replicate it.
You hear that a lot. People struggle to replicate that in the real world because often, right, when are you often going to find yourself in these like high stakes moments that you would
Yeah.
in like a really big game? Yeah. How long did you think about it before you finally decided, okay, yeah, I no longer want to play?
I didn't think about it at all, actually. Like it just,
Really?
yeah, it just sort of came like with like certain circumstances that were going on in like my life and whatnot. It sort of just happened like a split second realization, just like maybe this isn't for me anymore. It wasn't something that I've been thinking about before, not at all. It was something that literally I never thought about. I could never like even fathom being a possibility because basketball is what I've been doing my whole life. Going to WNBA was literally like my only dream, like since I was like 7 years old. So it's kind of crazy to say that it literally was like can't that decision kind of came out of nowhere.
Even though you didn't think about it a lot, would you say then it was an easy decision or was it still a difficult decision to make?
No, it's definitely a difficult decision because it's something I've been doing like literally my whole life for like 10 years. So it's like, how are you just gonna give this up, especially when you just received a D1 scholarship, which is like a life-changing thing for a lot of people, like for me as well. It's just like, how are you gonna give this up? But inside, I knew that for me, when I do something, I want to be able to give my all into it, like whatever it is. But for basketball, because of where I was, like in my mental state, I knew that I wouldn't be able to give my all. And with that, it's just like at this stage, going to a D1 college or university and not knowing that I can't give my all right now because of how I'm feeling mentally, which is something that is just as important as your physical health, that I knew that maybe it's time to make a change.
How are you feeling at this point? You feel like you're still happy with the decision that you made, or has there ever been any point where you're like, what if I had kept playing?
No, I'm still happy with the decision I've made. Like everything, like since I've returned home has like worked out pretty well. I got a job, making some friends and acquaintances out here. Spending time with my family, like finding myself again. Because during that whole period, especially when my mental health was taking a really big dip, I started to sort of like lose myself, like lose interest in my hobbies, and sort of forget myself other than just being a basketball player. And that was something that just further helped like the decline. So coming home has definitely allowed me to work on myself a lot, like self-love, being able to find peace and solitude and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think I don't think that I really regret my decision. No, I don't regret my decision. I think that this is what I was supposed to do. And I feel like it's definitely helped me out, helped me figure out some things. And And I always know, like in the back of my head, like if I ever wanted to play the game again, I could go try out for a local Canadian school if I wanted to, and I'd probably make it considering I was a high level athlete in sports. So I just know that that's always an option available to me, even though right now I'm comfortable of where I'm at.
So you mentioned about um, like losing yourself, not really getting to engage in your hobbies, and all of that was sort of impacting you. So I think that leads nicely into the next question that I wanted to ask, which was, did you feel like once you decided you didn't want to play anymore, did you feel like you had to establish a new identity once you quit or figure out who you were as Cadence and not as Cadence, the basketball player?
Yeah, 100%. Because even while I was playing basketball, I sort of didn't know who I was. Like I always had this mask that I would put up to be perceived as someone who's just like top basketball player, cold hearted on the court, doesn't show much emotion. So I'd kept that mask up, like especially living away from home, like living being at a prep school. I kept that mask up around my teammates, around people who were supposed to be close to me. So even through that, I sort of forgot who I was even then. Without like I didn't know like yeah, I'm a basketball player, but that's pretty much all I knew about myself. So even now, I'm kind of just like working backwards to figure out who I am, what I like to do, and what I want to do eventually in this new path that I've taken. So yeah, I'm definitely figuring out who I am and what I feel like I need to do now because before I was I was definitely lost. And I'm still a bit lost now, but again, I feel like I have more time and more grace. I'm giving myself more grace because I've learned again like some habits and traits of like self-love. So I'm giving myself more grace to be able to figure out who I am, knowing that it's a slow process, that it's not going to be linear, there's going to be ups and downs, and that eventually, as long as I keep like working towards this and keep putting enough like the same effort that I put in basketball, I put into myself now, then I'll be able to like figure out and make something good out of this life for me.
That's good. That's good. How do you feel like the reception has been for your decision?
It's actually been pretty good. Like I got a whole bunch of messages from people like when I first released my video stating that I wasn't gonna play anymore. I got a whole bunch of messages from people saying like they were proud of me, like the job, like saying how it's inspiring them because or saying how some people relate. And to me, the relatable messages, those ones were one that really struck a chord because it's like we don't know what other people are going through. Like it's so easy to feel alone in this mental health struggle, but being able to know that there's other people who may be going through similar things to you, obviously it's not going to be the exact same, but similar situations, and being able to connect with them can really help you find a sense of community, make you feel less alone, less isolated, and to give you like a sense of like love and community around there. So you're not as like so you're not battling everything on your own and just carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders by yourself because that's definitely a heavy duty and it definitely gets hard. It definitely gets hard at times. So there's that, and that's why I do, or that's why I wanted to create a group chat for basically athletes to work on, or athletes who not necessarily are going through mental health issues, but are able to talk about these mental health issues and problems and things that arise while playing your sport, so that you're able to find community and know that you're not alone and stuff like that. So in total, yeah, the reception that I've got has been pretty good. And I appreciate everyone that's reached out, especially my family for supporting me in this and just being like my number one supporter is definitely. So yeah.
I think it's really great that you opening up allowed people to feel comfortable to reach out and let you know that they're experiencing the same. And who knows, maybe it allowed them to open up to people in their lives about what they're dealing with. So yeah, it just goes to show that like if you speak up, speak out, you know, you will realize that there are a lot of people out there who are dealing with the same issues. Um, yeah, so I guess I wanted to ask like so thinking about other athletes, whether it's professional athletes or high performance youth athletes, do you think that it's realistic for a high performance athlete to have the time to establish other hobbies, other identities outside of sport to prepare them for a post retirement life?
This is a tough question because a lot of times when you're in your sport, like even the coaches, like no one's thinking about what happens after the sport. We're just thinking like we're in the moment, we're trying to make you the best that we can be, or you're trying to become the best that you can be. And that's all that we're really thinking about. And all the time and effort that you have, like the saying is that if you're not working, someone else is going to take your spot. Someone else is going to eat your food. Like sleep is a cousin of death. So you can't be resting on your laurels. You gotta really keep working at this, like with all the time that you have. So really, it's hard to say if you really have the time to establish other hobbies. Because me personally, I wasn't really able to do that. So from my experience, I would say no because of how much time and effort was put into the sport, or how much time and effort you need to put in the sport to get to where I was, or and even further than that as well.
Yeah, I think like as you were speaking, I was thinking about that. Like I was wondering if it's one of those situations where if you want to get to professional athlete level, there just isn't time. I think about the WNBA, there's an off season, right? When I played soccer, like it was when I first started, it was for fun. So I was just playing in the summer. But then once I became competitive and at the high level, it was all year. Like
Yeah.
it was the summer was our spring to fall was our season, and then the winter we were indoors. So there was no off season. We kept going.
I mean, as a youth, especially playing at a high level, it'll be difficult because, like you said, it's all year round because of AAU and like summer like circuits and whatnot. So it's basically all year round, and then you don't want to you can't ever rest because you're always working for the next game, which is there's always a next game because again, it's all year round. So when you do get to those professional levels, I think that there may be more time, but again, I'm not a professional, so I wouldn't know. But I think that there may be more time during like the off season to obviously like work out and go to the gym, but also explore new things since you have some of that time depending on whether or not you go to play in Europe or something like that. Especially for like the NBA guys, I feel like they'd have more time to explore and try like other hobbies, new things, just to see like what they want to get into. Like Russell Westbrook, like I don't know, I don't remember when this was, but sometime a couple years ago, he actually created like his own clothing brand and own initiative with that. So being able to like explore other sides of yourself, other creativeness or whatever it might be, I feel like that's something more plausible at the professional level.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think too, like really, again, it also comes down to the individual and the circumstances I feel that led to why they decided to quit playing. I think because I think for some people it may come to just like a natural end. Like if we're thinking about a professional athlete who plays into their 30s and they just get to the point where they're like, yeah, they're done. They're tired, maybe their skill is dropped and they realize that and then they're like, okay, I don't want to play anymore. And so for them, retirement life is maybe something they're looking forward to. But then, like, again, I think about like Sam Muse or I think about other players who have to retire early because of injury. Maybe it hits different because maybe it's like maybe they don't want to find a new identity. Maybe they really liked being an athlete and they still want to be an athlete and now they can't. And so it's like a different. It's a little bit different for them to sort of like switch gears and now identify new hobbies.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah.
Everyone has their different like situations and whatnot. So definitely.
Well, Cadence, thanks so much for speaking about your experience after you decided to stop playing basketball. It's obviously a really important topic because every athlete is going to have to experience this at some point. So I'm really glad we were able to talk about this today. And I really loved hearing this like group chat idea that you want to come up with. I think it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I think that this is definitely a great video to have people watching just to share and get that message out there. So yeah.
Great. Okay, well, thanks everyone for watching our video. If you found this interesting, please remember to give us a like, leave a comment down below, and of course, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll see you in the next video.